Good evening, I'm Jane Pointer, host of AZ Illustrated Science. On tonight's show, we introduce you to emerging research with the end goal of helping people live longer and healthier lives. What may surprise you is that this research is finding that mental health may be key to understanding physical health. Also, it's common knowledge that hospitals, clinics, and rehabilitation centers are all spaces of healing, but non-medicinal places can have healing properties as well. That's coming up on AZ Illustrated Science. But first, a look at today's top stories.
The U.S. House and Senate are off this week, which means members are home. This morning, Senator John McCain held a town hall meeting in Green Valley. He began by talking about the potential effects of the mandatory budget cuts known as sequestration.
Results of sequestration in Arizona would be 49,000 jobs lost, 300 healthcare jobs, et cetera, but the most important impact would be on our national defense.
Arizona's senior senator touched on most of the major topics of the day in the hour-long question and answer session. He spent the most time talking about the border.
We need probably some more Border Patrol agents, but what we need, and we need more fencing. But we also need to use and implement the technology that we developed in Afghanistan and Iraq.
Specifically on immigration, Senator McCain called for employer sanctions, more visas to keep highly skilled workers in the U.S., as well as a plan for the so-called Dreamers. He also told the assembled people that illegal immigrants already in the country also must be dealt with.
If we are going to provide them with a path to citizenship, they must pay a fine, they must have background checks, they must learn English, they must pay for any expenses associated with that, they must get in the back of the line behind anybody who has come to this country legally.
Senator McCain also reiterated he will not support former Senator Chuck Hagel, who he calls a friend, for Secretary of Defense. 6 Arizona school districts are in trouble with the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency over asbestos in the schools. The EPA fined more than 24 schools in Apache and Pinal counties, as well as the Fort Apache Reservation, for asbestos violations. The violations were first noted in 2011, and most of the school districts were able to fix the problems, which took many of the fines to zero. According to the EPA, the reason for the reduction in the fines was the mediation cost the district more than the fines themselves. And that's tonight's news headlines.
In any given year, about 1 in 4 Americans will suffer from a diagnosable mental illness. For many, the impact of such mental illness will reach well beyond the mind. As Gisela Tellis now shows us, researchers are discovering connections between mental and physical health that could hold the key to better care and help us all live longer, healthier lives.
Sleep problems tend to come out ahead of worsening mood.
For psychologist and Professor David Sabara, it all began with back surgery.
When I was 19, I had a fairly serious spine surgery, and I spent more or less the entire summer lying flat on my back. And I don't know, I really sort of spent a lot of time thinking about how am I going to put the pieces of my life back together? What am I going to do? Who do I want to become? And who am I?
Sabara went on to study what it means, emotionally and physically, to put a life back together. As director of clinical training in the University of Arizona Department of Psychology, he's now part of a new field of research that's changing how people see the connection between physical and mental health. That connection lies at the heart of what Sabara and other experts say is a major and often overlooked public health issue. Right now, almost 60 million Americans, that's 1 out of every 4 adults, are living with some form of mental illness. For many of these individuals, mental illness will carry a physical cost. People with mental health disorders are more likely to have heart disease, diabetes, and other chronic health conditions. On average, they die 25 years earlier than the general population. Researchers are only beginning to explore why, in part by studying how people cope with painful experiences, like losing a loved one.
We know that there is something called the widowhood effect. That is that when a person loses their spouse, they are at increased risk for their own morbidity and mortality, particularly in the first 6 months after the death of their spouse, but even for years to come.
UA psychology researcher Mary Frances O'Connor has spent years trying to figure out why people who have lost loved ones are at greater risk for illnesses ranging from heart disease to multiple sclerosis. She's found that loss can change someone's brain activity and immune and stress responses. Levels of the stress hormone cortisol, for example, follow a specific pattern in healthy people, and a different one when we're grieving.
So this is a graph of the cortisol across the day. This is when they wake up 4 o'clock in the evening and 9 o'clock in the evening. And the two lines look different. You can see that the group with the dotted line, the group who's not adapting, they start lower in the morning in terms of their cortisol level. And when they end, at the end of the day, their cortisol level is still higher, meaning the slope overall is flatter. In the long term, that's not a very good sign for health.
O'Connor uses bereavement as a case study so she can zero in on the link between mind and body. Sabara chose divorce as his case study and has found strikingly similar results.
We did a big meta-analysis, a study a couple years ago, and this involved over 6.5 million people, showing that the experience of divorce and time spent living as a divorced adult was associated with this increased risk for early death.
But when it comes to mental illness, stress-induced changes in the body are only part of the picture, Sabara says.
In general, when we think about the link between psychology and health, you start thinking about 3 or 4 main pathways. And the first one is probably resources. So access to resources. So socioeconomic status, access to health care. In the divorce work, we think about changes in social networks and friend groups and those kinds of things. But the first main one is resources. The second main one is health behaviors. So how much are people smoking? How good is their diet? How poor is their diet? And then those types of things. So sleeping, all the like. Then we move on to think about psychosocial stress. So how much psychological stress does any given experience confer? How much psychological stress are people under who have mental health problems? And you start putting those all together and you weave a pretty complex story about the thing that increases risk for early death.
Current treatments for mental illness are also part of the problem. Many of the medications people take to ease their symptoms, while helpful in day-to-day life, can have long-term consequences for physical health. And then there's the fact that the mind-body connection goes both ways. Studies of the link between depression and heart disease, for example, suggest that both conditions may share a common origin in inflammation.
It may well be the case, and I think we're going to really see this in the next 5 or 10 years, that a lot of the psychology is driven from the bottom up, that the inflammatory response leads to social withdrawal and sort of organizes that kind of psychosocial response. So what we're seeing is sort of this breakdown between how people think about what's driving the engine between psychology and biology. And that's probably some of the most interesting research that's being done.
Sabara and O'Connor admit there's still a lot they and their colleagues don't know about the connection between mental and physical health. But they plan to keep probing in hopes that learning more could lead to a new approach for treating mental illnesses, one that aims to heal the body as well as the mind.
Joining me now in the studio are Dr. Clark Romans and Rebecca Garfunkel with the National Alliance on Mental Illness. Thank you for coming in today. Mental illness is really such a hot topic at the moment in the media. What are your thoughts on the gun control and where this all fits in that conversation?
Well, I often believe that it's terrific when the media get in touch with us. I'm delighted to talk to them. I'm not always so happy why they're getting in touch with me, because often the focus is on things that aren't really the fundamental issue.
And what do you consider to be the fundamental issue?
The fundamental issue is people with mental illness not receiving the services that they need, and individuals and their family members and loved ones being afraid or ashamed to get the help that they need. So it's all about awareness and removing the stigma so that we can talk about this biological brain disorder like any other illness.
And I understand that you've actually had personal experience with this.
Yes, I have. Like most people in NAMI, I'm involved because of a personal connection. My son Kenneth was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia when he was 16 years old in 1979.
So how have your thoughts changed between, before that and afterwards, having to deal with it, and now about the whole situation with mental illness?
Well, I mean, over 30 years has seen a lot of changes in this area. But I mean, like most people, when my son was diagnosed, I was well educated, I was well paid, I was well informed, but I knew nothing about mental illness. I couldn't even spell schizophrenia, let alone have any idea on the lifelong impact that illness would have on Kenneth and our family.
So what should our viewers know about mental illness? If there was one thing you really wanted them to know, what would that be?
That mental illnesses are illnesses like any other. They're treatable. People can live with them. And that they should seek treatment when they see any indication of it. Unfortunately, the stigma that exists often impedes people's willingness to admit to themselves that they have these disorders, their families to admit it, and then to overcome that and seek the help they need.
So how do we know if we have a mental illness? It seems to be such a gray area, a fuzzy area for so many of us that don't know anything about it.
Well, I think it's a common sense answer, really. It's, do the things that you're feeling or the emotions you have or the thoughts that you have, do they disrupt and interfere with your normal daily functioning? If they do, like any illness, if you have a sore throat, you take an antibiotic to get rid of it because it's not pleasant. If you have a stomach upset, you do the same. A headache, you take an aspirin or something else. If your emotions are out of control, you go into rages or you feel that everybody's attacking you, that's not normal and you can get help for it.
And how easy is it to diagnose these illnesses? Is that straightforward?
Not easy.
It's not easy. It also depends if you have healthcare insurance. Oftentimes, I would say the majority of healthcare insurances do not cover mental health services, so they can't pay to see a psychiatrist, for example. If you do have to see a psychiatrist, sometimes it can be $95 per visit.
And NAMI, what's NAMI's role in this area?
Well, NAMI is a national organization, and we do three fundamental things. We do education, we do support, and we do advocacy. So we don't provide any direct services, but there are both public and private mental health services in the community that are available. So if you're someone who's, let's say, unemployed, or your family doesn't have the financial resources to seek the help that Rebecca mentioned, you can enroll in the public mental health system, the funding of which is variable depending on the whim of the legislature.
And in the last minute we have, I understand that you have an event that you do.
Yes, we have our 7th annual NAMI Walk, which is a community walk for mental illness awareness. It's to take place on Saturday, April 6th at Keno Veterans Memorial Stadium. And we expect about 4,500 participants this year. And our walk is the largest awareness campaign regarding mental illness. And we encourage those who are affected and even those who want to know more about mental illness to join us for this walk.
And it brings families together.
It brings families together. Yes, it does.
Thank you so very much for coming in the studio today and talking with us about it.
Thank you.
Evidence suggests that since 2006, a secretive Chinese military unit has hacked the computer systems of more than 100 U.S. corporations and organizations. Good evening, I'm Judy Woodruff.
And I'm Gwen Eiffel. On the NewsHour tonight, we assess the damage done by the cyber attacks and explore the motivations behind what appears to be China's systematic targeting of foreign firms and governments.
Then we turn to today's arguments at the Supreme Court over a patent case with implications for biotech giant Monsanto and a range of fields from medical research to computers.
We continue our week-long focus on guns after Newtown. Tonight, Jeffrey Brown reports on the possible links, if any, between violent video games and violent behavior.
The results clearly showed that playing a violent video game increases aggressive behavior.
One of the problems in this field is that people confuse aggression and violence.
And Margaret Warner gets an update on the Oscar Pistorius murder trial in South Africa as the prosecution and the defense lay out conflicting accounts of the events leading to his girlfriend's death. That's all ahead on tonight's NewsHour.
When you try to lose weight, everything can seem to work against you.
Sometimes on a shift, this whole table is cake and cookies and chips. It's nice, it's very nice, it's sociable, but the long-term effects are not that great.
I'm Linda Wertheimer, looking for a different kind of temptation that will motivate people to lose weight on the next morning edition from NPR News.
We now continue tonight's focus on the connection between mental and physical health. Dr. Esther Sternberg is a professor of medicine and the director of research at the University of Arizona Center for Integrative Medicine. She uses neurobiology to study the connections between health and emotions. Her work also stresses the way that places can have power to heal. So for thousands of years, I'm just going to dive straight into it if you're okay with that. For
Absolutely.
Thousands of years, people have visited locations that they have considered sacred for their healing power. And now I understand that your research, Dr. Sternberg, is really demonstrating that there's some real science behind this.
Absolutely. In fact, you have one of those sacred places here, Tumamoc Hill, that for 3,500 years has been lived in by the Native American peoples and then was taken over afterwards as a sacred shrine. It's very much like your local Guatemala, or Guadalupe or Lourdes right here in Tucson. So the question that we're asking is, what is it about places like that that can help you heal? Actually, step back, can they help you heal? And in my book, Healing Spaces, The Science of Place and Well-Being, I explore that question. And there's a tremendous amount of neuroscience now, immunology, molecular biology, environmental psychology that does answer that question and tells us how places like that can help you heal. And in fact, how much they can help you heal. And so it's very exciting. It's actually really exciting for me to be here at the University of Arizona at the Center for Integrative Medicine and working with the College of Architecture and Planning and Landscape Architecture and the Institute on the Environment. Across the university, scientists who are interested in addressing these questions in a rigorous scientific way.
So you're saying that there's actually physiological responses or something like that that is occurring within certain locations that don't happen in others?
There are physiological, emotional, and immune responses that are occurring in every location that you're in at every moment of the day. So the mind-body connection goes way beyond here and here. It goes to the physical world. And we know that. We know that from studies in animals. We know in animal research, when you're doing research for whatever reason, you have to control the environment very, very carefully. The light, the sound, the colors, the textures, because animals respond instantly to all of those physical features of the environment. Humans respond equally. They also respond to memories that are triggered by those kinds of physical features of the environment. And those memories can trigger either positive emotions, which can ultimately, by the nerve chemicals and hormones that are released, affect the immune system and help you heal, or they can trigger negative emotions, stress, anxiety, fear, that also affect the immune system and harm it and prevent it from doing its job of healing.
So this has enormous ramifications.
It has tremendous ramifications, yes.
Societal, I mean, not only for those people that are trying to heal themselves from something, but also in everyday life as we're walking from one place to another.
Absolutely. It has bearing on the physical, on the built environment, on your home, on your schools, on your offices, on the green environment, on the urban environment. And what we're doing, actually working together with the American Institute of Architects, the U.S. Green Building Council, the General Services Administration that builds all the buildings for the government, even the Vatican and the military are interested in this because they understand how important it is to help people heal by designing physical space and putting people's health front and center when you're doing green building design, for example. So I got into this field specifically when the then Director of Research for the General Services Administration and the Director of Research for the American Institute of Architects asked me if there was a way that we could measure the physiological and health and emotional responses of people to their built environment. And we got together a group of researchers. I was at the National Institutes of Health at the time. And we got together a group of researchers to develop non-invasive methods to measure those kinds of responses. Because it doesn't do if you're measuring those responses in an office worker to stick a needle in them and draw blood. Bringing all that here to the Arizona Center for Integrative Medicine, it's the same kind of technologies, the same kind of toolkit, non-invasive toolkit that we're developing to measure those kinds of responses in response to mind-body interventions like meditation and Tai Chi and so on.
Well, I'd like to thank you so much for coming in this evening. I'm sorry we have to leave it there, but thank you again for coming.
Thank you.
Coming up, we go behind the scenes at the Arizona Sonoran Desert Museum. But first, a look at some milestones in health history for the month of February. 185 years ago, in February of 1828, Dr. James Blundell, often known as the father of modern abdominal surgery, performed the first successful hysterectomy. More than 30 years later, in 1885, tuberculosis patients were isolated from the general population for the first time and housed in sanatoriums. In 1909, Congress prohibited the manufacture and sale of opium, a drug which was widely used by the public as a painkiller. And 100 years ago, in 1913, researchers noticed a rise in cancer. The American Medical Association and the American College of Surgeons teamed up to promote public awareness of early cancer detection. This partnership later became the American Cancer Society. The Arizona Sonoran Desert Museum outside Tucson has entertained and educated visitors for over 60 years. A combination zoo, botanical garden, and natural history museum, the Desert Museum has pioneered the science of exhibit design and interpretation. From the visitor's point of view, it's difficult to discern what occurs naturally and what designers and curators have fabricated to look natural.
There's plenty for visitors to see when perusing the grounds of the Arizona Sonora Desert Museum, but it's what they don't see that may be the most astonishing. The art and science of exhibit design provides a home for the animals, safe access for keepers, and just as important, a rich experience for visitors. First developed and used several decades ago, rock formations at the museum appear to be serendipitously located, but they aren't. Instead, they are handmade and purposefully placed.
Well, let's go over there.
On a small scale, this is exactly how we make all our rocks at the Desert Museum. We start off with a rock, we paint coats of latex on it, reinforce the latex with some cheesecloth, add a hard shell to hold the shape, and then we fill it full of cement, get a cement rock, we paint the cement rock, and we end up with a duplicate of what our original rock was. However, we use lightweight rocks up on the ceiling where we have to have certain areas that just can't handle the weight. By using molds that we use, the rock texture is exactly the same as you find in the mountains. We have 50 of these separate molds for this particular texture of rock, and by changing them around, we can make it shape any size, any shape we want to go to.
Those shapes not only provide caves for the animals, but also cavernous spaces for the safety of the handlers, especially those handling venomous creatures.
Well, you want to make sure that it's safe for both the animal and the staff, and so that you have room around to work. So we have tools that we can use to to work the animals with. People are absolutely always surprised. They're out there and they have no clue that there's this big room back here to service the animals in, so they're very surprised. And of course, kids always want to tap on the glass and wave at you and get you to respond.
Glass is one barrier that keeps the animals separate from inquisitive visitors. Another homespun technology is a nearly invisible net.
Our Invisinet at the Desert Museum was invented by our former Director of Design and Planning, Ken Stockton. And it's hand woven. It's made out of a stainless steel mesh. This particular Invisinet is a 60-pound stainless steel. It was developed just so that when you're taking pictures of a lot of animals through the Invisinet, you see the animals, not the mesh. And we're trying to find something that is least visible but still contains the animal. It's a pretty good example of something we can use that doesn't require a lot of maintenance once it's installed.
Many of these technologies are in use at zoos worldwide. And while Invisinet was state-of-the-art years back, the Arizona Sonora Desert Museum's latest exhibit is more up-to-date. So much so that the museum is able to create a sea in the desert. The creatures inside the tanks are impressive, as is the technology behind the scenes allowing the animals to prosper. The new fresh and saltwater Warden Aquarium starts with regular old H2O.
It comes in here first and we purify it with a reverse osmosis system. Once the purified water leaves the system in there, it comes out and it enters into this subsurface tank. This tank is plumbed into this tank next to it, which we use for mixing the salt water. Both of these tanks are plumbed into the aquarium so that we can pump either this fresh reverse osmosis water or salt water, depending on what tank we need to fill at the time.
All the water used in the aquarium is recycled to the wetlands exhibit on museum grounds. Even the salt water, which has plenty more added to it besides salt.
The chemistry of salt water is a lot different than fresh water. We have to monitor the salinity of the water, the ammonias, nitrites, nitrates, all kinds of things, and then also even the calcium content and different minerals and stuff too.
Each tank has its own plumbing.
Here we have a sump, and in this sump is extra water to help dilute the water or add volume. And there's a bunch of bioballs in here that have bacteria growing on them that helps break down the ammonia or the waste from the fish and clean up the water. Then it goes through a cartridge filter, and then we also have a UV sterilizer. We also have a foam fractionator or a protein skimmer, and it actually mimics sea foam.
All the technology and planning that goes into the exhibits isn't just about viewing the animals. It's about not seeing the animals, too.
We want animals to be visible. We want people to be able to see them and to enjoy their experience. We always have to weigh that against the needs for the animals. Animals, like people, don't necessarily want to just be looked at constantly all day, so we like to give them a chance to retreat a little bit, or a bush to hide under, or a low place to go to, so they can feel that they can escape and not feel eyes on them all the time.